Hi there. Um, I just recorded 3 written videos, written journals, written videos, that's good. Um, but something's been on my mind a little bit or on my heart a little bit of late, and I thought I'd share that with you live. And that's the Mayan calendar. Um, you know how those South American pyramids always seem to have 9 levels, um, 9 major steps. And that's no mistake. The Mayan calendar shows us 9 major levels. And we're on the very end of the 8th level right now. And in a month or two, we'll be going up to the last level, the 9th. And so if you can imagine one of those step pyramids, and I'll see about putting an image in here if I can figure out how to do that after I've done the spoken part. But you've got the 9 levels, and so we're getting ready to step up to the very last one, the smallest one, right on top. And creation is divided into 7 days and 6 nights. Well, that's 13 sections, if a day and a night are equal in length of time. And so each level of the pyramid can be seen to be divided up into 13 sections for the 7 days and the 6 nights. And I'm going a lot of this on Carl Kalaman's work. He's my favorite explicator of the Mayan calendar. Up to now, I mean, now that Don Alejandro and the Mayans themselves are beginning to speak out, they're going to be the ultimate authority. But Don Alejandro approved overall Carl Kalaman's work. And, you know, that speaks volumes for me because he's the grandfather, the supreme elder perhaps of the Mayan peoples, at least in South America, if not in the world. Okay, so we're getting ready then. Right now we're in the 7th day, and we're getting ready to finish off the pyramid, to finish off the Mayan calendar. And each of these levels has been roughly equal, and yet each level has all the change that's taken place on that level has been more and more compressed by a factor of 20 is the calculation of Dr. Kalaman. And so each time we go from one level to the next level up, things will be happening 20 times faster than they did before. In the 8th or galactic level or cycle, which we're finishing up now, we have the 7 days and the 6 nights. So we have the 13 equal periods. They were approximately a year, 360 days, I think. And so it's taken us about 13 years to traverse this level. The next one, we're getting ready to traverse the same amount of change or more in less than a year. We step into the very last level, the new cycle, and this intensification of change on either February 11th, or I've seen the date also is March 9th. So in other words, in a month or two. And what has taken 360 days as a cycle to complete, the 13 cycles on the last level will finish in 18 or 20 days each. So imagine that, if you will. Look at how fast change has been for you. If your memory's good, you can look back 13 years and look at yourself and freak out that it looks like it must have surely been some other incarnation. It couldn't have been this one. You've changed so much. But just look at the change for you, let's say in the last year. Where were you a year ago today? If you have journals, get them out and read them a little bit. I'm reading mine to you all of the time, and I know I can see a significant difference in where I was a year ago and where I am now. And so look at the change that's occurred in the last year. Now imagine all of that change stuffed into 18 days or 20 days. Interesting, huh? It's going to be so intense that whether it starts in February or March hardly matters, really. It's Carl Kellerman himself. I haven't read the explanation behind it, but it's on the Mayan Magic's website where I found the new date. I had understood it to be the February date, but now he's saying March 9th and admitting that he's created some confusion there. But I don't think it's that important. The underlying factor is increasing intensity of change. And sure enough, we're in that now. But what I'm saying is that what the Mayan calendar is saying is that we can only expect this to greatly intensify. Now, I know that's hard to imagine, but there it is. Now, just a little while ago, I've mentioned before that I enjoy, and I'm going to get her name right this time, I enjoy her blog, Lauren Gorgo, and it's on conscious co-creation. Anyway, she comes out about once a month or so with an interesting blog where she shares she's attuned with or in communion with beings of light on higher dimensions. And this is a real interesting way she began her most recent blog. This is a quote from the Pleiadian High Council, according to Lauren. Now, I don't necessarily buy this, or I don't necessarily not buy it. It's just interesting. We would like to congratulate the Warrior Brigade for your collective emergence into true, authentic beings of light. The year of 2011 is one where those of actualized, authentic spiritual descent will be emerging as the risen leaders of the new paradigm, those who will be followed to the new day. Again, she says this from the Pleiadian High Council. And so she's talking about her own challenges as she has seen them over this period of time. And it's been mind-blowing, truly, to go through this. And it as she says, and it will speed up like 20-fold for the masses this year. Well, I know where she's getting that. That's the Mayan calendar. And I mean, how do we imagine this? How do we imagine what that's like? It's been so rapid already, has it not? I mean, have you noticed? And I challenge you, if you haven't noticed, you're probably not journaling. Maybe you've got some video that was taken of you a year ago or something. Go back and look at it. Now, later on in her blog came the thing that actually made me go turn the video camera on. She's talking about the eclipses that we've been through and the massive change that these represent, which isn't to say that they cause the change, but somehow, you know, they're correlated, okay? There's a one-to-one correlation. Let's not worry about causation. Just call it an indicator of change. And here's what she said about it. That unbelievably powerful eclipse sandwich portal that blasted us out of our past for good created a massive separation between our old identity and our new sense of trueness. And that's really interesting. You know, we had the lunar eclipse, the full moon eclipse on solstice, and then hardly 2 weeks later we had the solar eclipse which was partial for the sun. And so, yeah, being sandwiched in between there, um, we're changing, and it's like cutting us off from what was and ushering us into the new. I can see that. Where is it though? Oh, here's the. She said at 4 a.m. This is fun. At 4 a.m. this morning, the Pleiadian said to me, "If your life was about to become all that you'd ever dreamed of, what would you need to do right now to prepare yourself?" What a question. Think about it. What comes up for you? And I'm not going to read any more in that, or I'm going to have to get her written permission to be sharing this with you. I think it's a really great question, because if we can ask that question of ourselves honestly, what comes up for me anyway is I get to see my resistance to life, my resistance to the moment, my resistance to accepting that everything is as beautiful as it could be right here and right now. Even though we get rid of a lot of our old ideas about time and about being linear, and we want to be unlimited and all of that, it sounds really nice. But if we're only getting it with the mind, that hardly counts. I mean, it's nice and it's handy, but it's not worth much. When it comes to real change, it's not done via the mind. It's done via the heart. And so if we go in heart and look at that, if your world was about to become all that you could have ever hoped or dreamed it would be, how would you need to change to get ready for that, to welcome that? You know, what would your focus need to be in order to greet that? In what way are we resisting the concept that our world is wonderful, just as it is, right here and right now? Are we still putting perfection off into some mythical future? I think we are. And I think to the extent that we're doing that, we're limiting ourselves, because everything is beautiful just like it is. And forget the mind with this, okay? The mind is incapable. It cannot grok this whole concept. It sounds loony to mind. So what? Do we care? I don't. And if you do, then maybe you're still locked within mind. I don't know. I mean, all I can report on is me. You know that. I can't report on what it's like to be you. But we are finding that we're echoing one another in our experiences. You know, looking at someone else's experiences, sometimes it's almost like looking in a mirror. And so we're not so much alone. Separation's been the name of the game that's been played with us. It keeps us apart both from one another and from our own inner or higher self. And it's an illusion. But as long as we accept the illusion, then that's how we've used our free will. And we're bound by that. Why? Because we chose to be. It's a little bit like needing to know your rights. If you've done any driving through different countries, or with me, it's just been across country here in the USA. I've been in most of the states. I think I've lived in 14 of them. And so you've got to know, if you're an experienced traveler, that it's not up to anybody else. It's up to you to know what the laws are, the traffic laws, in the states that you're driving through. Mostly it's just when the light is red. Can you stop and then make your turn on the red light, or do you have to wait for the green? Things like that. And you can get ticketed, and it's no excuse. Well, officer, I'm from Vermont, and we're in Minnesota here. How should I know? That doesn't work. Don't even bother. If you're driving on the streets in Minnesota, you're responsible to know. That's how we lose our rights, is by not knowing what they are. I've been watching some of the things about being sovereign, and you have to know the law in order to defend your rights, because the whole system is designed in such a way to get you, by the use of your own free will, by your agreement, to get you to agree to things. And once you agree, you've stepped under the jurisdiction there. And it's not up to them to explain to you your rights, which is why it's kind of unfortunate, It's quite unfortunate that our schooling and our education has dumbed us down so much. We're not being taught what these are. And so rights are easier to be taken away from you if you're not familiar with them. Anyway, I've wandered, but I did want to share with you one of my favorite musings is on time. It totally fascinates me why it is that I should seem to be isolated here in this embodiment and in this moment. Now, I love being in this moment. I have found more freedom by pulling myself away from the future and the past and pulling myself right into the now. The mind always wants to either be in the future or the past or another place. The mind resists just being quietly here in the now. And so it's a great joy on learning to go into heart, because there's a magical kingdom that is accessible only through the portal of the present. There's just not another way. The portal of the present, the now, the heart, call it what you will. When we come into consonance with this very moment, this very step that we're taking, not the next one. I mean, look at yourself. If you're walking across the room in order to go turn off or turn on a light, if you watch yourself, you'll notice that your awareness is on the light switch. So mentally, you're already across the room, and you've left your body behind, and it's walking over here, but you're really not with it. And so it's very subtle in ways like that, and it's fun. To me, it's a joy. It's a game that's fun to play. When I'm walking down the hallway, it happens most often when you've got a long straightaway. Whether you're walking down your hallway in your house or you're driving down a long straightaway on the highway, there's a tendency to go faster, and you're getting ahead of yourself. You're looking at that long straightaway, and you're not really present where you are in the moment. And in Asia, they're so good with curvy things and with things to interrupt the flow, the feng shui of things. Um, there's a good understanding of that. For myself, I've just placed the various crystals and the Buddha statues and things. I've got a nice one of Ganesh that's suitably placed where I have to walk by it to go just about anywhere in the house. And it's become such a habit. It's very handy now that whenever I pass it, I pause and I center. Um, and it's that simple. I just pause and acknowledge the moment. I collect myself. I stop walking. I stand still. Just a moment. And it's been a great blessing. So that's worked for me. You know, comment me on what works for you. It doesn't matter. The little things that we do, I used to do post-it notes, put them everywhere. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a fun game to just try to collect yourself, to try to be with yourself, because mostly we're spread out. And when we're spread out, we're vulnerable, number one, and we're not really accessing the fullness, the wholeness of ourself, number two. And it's a lot more fun to be present than not to be. And so I'll leave it there. And I'll see you later. Good day. Good now. steps. And that's no mistake. The Mayan calendar shows us 9 major levels. And we're on the very end of the 8th level right now. And in a month or two, we'll be going up to the last level, the 9th. And so if you can imagine one of those step pyramids, and I'll see about putting an image in here if I can figure out how to do that after I've done the spoken part. Hi there. I just recorded 3 written videos, written journals, written videos, that's good. But something's been on my mind a little bit, or on my heart a little bit of late, and I thought I'd share that with you live. And that's the Mayan calendar. You know how those South American pyramids always seem to have 9 levels? 9 major Kalaman's work. He's my favorite explicator of the Mayan calendar. Up to now, I mean, now that Don Alejandro and the Mayans themselves are beginning to speak out, they're going to be the ultimate authority. But Don Alejandro approved overall Carl Kalaman's work. And, you know, that speaks volumes for me, because he's the grandfather, the supreme elder, perhaps, of the Mayan peoples, at least in South America, if not in the world. Okay, so we're getting ready then. Right now we're in the 7th day, and we're getting ready to finish off the pyramid, to finish off the Mayan calendar. And each of these levels has been roughly equal, and yet each level has all the change that's taken place on that level has been more and more compressed. But you've got the 9 levels, and so we're getting ready to step up to the very last one, the smallest one, right on top. And creation is divided into 7 days and 6 nights. Well, that's 13 sections, if a day and a night are equal in length of time. And so each level of the pyramid can be seen to be divided up into 13 sections for the 7 days and the 6 nights. And I'm going a lot of this on Carl